How's it going, y'all? Titan Smash MTG, and today we're back with some more MTGA standard action. Today, we're just a couple days away from rotation happening. A brand new standard is upon us, and we can finally get our hands on these new cards from Midnight Hunt. Last video, we looked at 10 different decks for Midnight Hunt standard, which thank you, by the way. I've had a lot of good support on that, a lot of cool comments, and people just seem to really be enjoying those decks, which always makes me very happy and makes me proud, and just I enjoy seeing y'all happy. It gives me motivation to want to do this, so thank y'all for the support. It really means a lot. For today's video, we're going to go over 5 different decks, and these are just existing decks from Standard 2022. I tried to take just like the most overall best performing decks in that format, just the top 5 of them that I could think of, listed on MTG Melee at least, and just kind of update those for the new Standard here, put some Midnight Hunt cards in there, and see how they change. Some of these can change kind of drastically and change. We get quite a few additions to them. But for the most part, you're not going to see too many changes to this. The point of this is we're taking these already pre-made decks and just changing them with these new cards to try to make them a little bit better. I didn't change Rakdos. I'm going to go ahead and say that right off the bat because I know, especially as many comments I got about freaking Rakdos vampires. I didn't put Rakdos in this list because I just think there's so many ways to build Rakdos. There's going to be Rakdos Vampires, Rakdos Burn, Rakdos Treasure, Rakdos Dragons. There's like so many different ways to do this kind of thing that I just left Rakdos out of it because it's going to be too hard to explain it. But multiple different flavors of that soup if you want to taste it. So we're going to look at some Mono Green, some Izzet Dragons, some Dimir Control, some Mono White, and Orzhov Angels. Look at those 5 and see what they got addition-wise in this new set and see how you can make these decks a little bit better. So enough yapping on my end. Let's take a look at these decks. Let's go. Alright, so go ahead and jump into deck number 1 here. This is Mono Green Aggro. Already a great pre-existing deck here in the meta. Not a ton of changes with this one, but you'll see there's a multitude of things I am trying to try out here and see if it's good enough or not. So we're still running like 3 Blizzard Brawl. You can make it 4 if you wanted to. Just such a good card, but it is dead in a lot of matchups. I'm trying 2 of the new Death Bonnet Sprout here. I still think this is a fantastic 1-drop. Now, it's not as good as Jaspara Sentinel on this deck. No matter what, you do want your Jaspara Sentinel, I think. But with us being a deck that plays a lot of creatures, I think Death Sprout coming in, milling some cards, filling that library up, and we have these Bust Answer threats on the battlefield anyway, and it makes it way easier to flip Death Bonnet Sprout. Now, I'm still playing a 2-of Swarm Shambler. I have a 2-2 split between these two. I can see Death Bonnet Sprout being better because if you've played this deck, you know there's so many times that you have your turn 1 Jaspera Sentinel, turn 2 Werewolf Pack Leader into another 1-drop. There's rarely ever times, because you always want to be tapping out, that you have to leave your Swarm Shambler open. I like the Death Bonnet Sprout can kind of grow and do its thing without having to invest mana in it. So while I have a 2-2 split here, I wouldn't be surprised to see Death Bonnet Sprout actually overtake Swarm Shambler as the premier 1-drop in the deck. But it's worth trying out. But no matter what, 4 Jaspera Sentinel, that's your premier 1-drop. At the 2-drop slot, 4 Ranger class, 4 Werewolf Pack Leader, nothing to see here, nothing crazy. I did want to try out 2 Briar Bridge Tracker. This is the 3-mana 2/3 Human Scout with Vigilance. Enters the battlefield, you investigate, and as long as you control a token, it gets 2 +2/+0. So it's a 3-mana 4/3. Words are hard. Words are very hard. Also worth noting, Old Growth Troll. You get a troll token from that every now and then. You can have your Seeker's Chariot tokens come in, and later up the curve, you'll see we have Tovalor playing 2 of those. Have some Wolf tokens. So a lot of different ways to make tokens in this list, and just make this a 4/3 Vigilance that investigates when it comes in, which is pretty good. So worth trying out as a 2-of here. It may not be good enough. It may not quite make the curve, but I want to try it out. Whole playset of Kazandu Mammoth. Good creature, big body, and a land if you need it. Nothing more to say there. Still playing a whole playset of Old Growth Troll. I know it's enticing to want to cut these kind of things, but if they're this good and this good a body, you just have to keep them. I'm playing a whole playset of Primal Adversary here, which I realize does make my 3-drop slot very congested. So if I do need to cut something, it's probably something from this slot. I'm just not sure what. But Primal Adversary to me is the best of the adversary cards. Just being a 4/3 a trample for 3 is already good stats on its own. The fact that you can pay 5 mana and have a 5/4 trample and a 3/3 hasty land is insane though. And I think that makes Primal Adversary absolutely worth playing here. Playing a whole playset of the Seeker's Chariot, just a great card. The Legend rule doesn't come into effect too much with this one because you're still making the 2/2/2s as well when you play this. So a Seeker's Chariot is gas here. Playing a very spicy, my hand's burning, spicy 1-of Unnatural Growth here. Double the power and toughness of every creature on every combat. And it's important that it's every combat, not just your own. This means you can block well and you can attack well. So I think Unnatural Growth is a 1-of here. It's worth a try. It may be too spicy, maybe too cute, and we just want to take it out of here. But I do want to try it out for sure. Finally, at the very, very top end here, we're playing 2 Tovolar's Huntmaster. This is a card that I almost put in my Werewolves deck when we did the 10 decks video. But 6 mana is a lot to pay for this kind of thing. Now, granted, we have the Despair Sentinel to ramp us up a little bit in this list. If our Old Growth Troll dies, we get a little bit of ramp that way. So we do have ways to kind of accelerate ourselves up here in the curve. But I wanted to play a 2-of for this. Just a almost better, maybe better Grave Titan. You don't say no to those kind of effects on Standard, that's for sure. Finally, rounding off the lands here, I got a 2-2 split of Lair of the Hydra and Faceless Haven, and the rest of it is just snow-covered forest at 16. So that's what we got here for mono green. If I'm missing any cards, let me know what you would add to it. But I think this is like a pretty good starting place to try with this. It's a tried and true deck. You don't want to chest too much and change too much of it. But I do think there's some additions here from this new set that could possibly make it work. So that's Midnight Hunt. That's mono green. Let's take a look at some Izzet Dragons. All right, so deck number 2 here is Izzet Dragons. We are boomers once again. We're not calling it Prismari anymore. Prismari is officially dead. It's Izzet season once again. Izzet season? You bet your ass it is. Anyways, not a lot of changes in this one. We'll go over the changes we do have. Starting from the top here, we're playing 3 Frostbite and 4 Dragon's Fire. 7 spot removal spells is easy peasy and pretty clean. Still playing a 1-of Disdainful Stroke. I like the fact that it can hit some things. And playing 1 Stroke and 1 Negate is a 1-of here. Whole playset of Expressive Iteration. Just a great draw spell. Kind of filter through your deck. Starting with some new cards though. I'm playing 2 Malevolent Hermit here. If you haven't seen this one, it's a 2-1 for 2. Yeah, 2-1 for 2. Human Wizard. Pay 1 single blue mana and sack it. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller plays 3. Also has a third cost of 3 on the back end where non-creature spells you control can't be countered. I like the fact that this is good as a 2-drop and you put this down. If the board's clear, you can start chipping in damage in there and get a little bit more damage for your Goldspan Dragons and not have to do as much work. But also I just love the fact that for a single mana, you have a miscast on the board and ready to go. This is one of those spells that it's either going to eat removal that you wouldn't want to hit your Dragons in the first place anyway, or it's just such a cheap way, and especially with Gallows Death Prismari, you play this Malevolent Hermit, you can play your Gallows Death Prismari and make that token, and then you have that 1 single mana. Well, actually, I guess you couldn't do that because it's a sorcery. Never mind on that one. Forget I said all of that. But still, just 1 single mana to have that miscast on a body, I think is super nice. If anybody played back in Khans of Tarkir and Dragons of Tarkir, Stratus Dancer, this is what it reminds me of, and I love that card. It was super sweet. So I'm going to try this as a 2-of. It may not be good enough, but it's worth a shot. 2 Prismari Command, whole playset of saw it coming. 2 Gallows Death Prismari, playing 2-of Memory Deluge over here, and I'm playing the Deluge over Behold the Multiverse, and I'm kind of not sure how to feel about it. I think Memory Deluge, like, by far is a better card as far as draw spells go, but I think it kind of works in Izzet Dragons because you have your Solid Cummings, you have your Behold the Multiverse, you have Orange Epiphany, so you have a lot of different things that you could foretell. But still, I think Memory Deluge is so good that paying the 4 mana for this instead of 2 and 2 is worth it. It's just getting a look at so many extra cards, finding those Goldspan Dragons that much easier. Really, really nice. Whole playset of Goldspan Dragon here. The best card, one of the best cards in Standard still by far. Playing 2 Imrith, however you say it in this deck. This card's always felt like, I don't know, it's fine, but I think it kind of got shown as the Standard went on that it can be beaten and it's not as good. So I can see just cutting down from these completely. I still think a 2-of is fine though. Finally, 3 Orange Epiphany and some lands. So that's Izzet Dragons. I don't think there's anything else I really missed that we could play. Not a lot of cards got spoiled that really had me intrigued to want to play in this one. But if I did miss something, you can let me know. I could see maybe the new Shock, Play with Fire, maybe that going in here. But as a whole, I think we're pretty good in this kind of way here. Maybe, if anything, I changed too much. That's Izzet Dragons. Let's take a look at Dimir Control. Alright, deck number 3 here. We got some Dimir Control, one of the best control decks in Standard 2022. We'll see if it translates over or not. Quite a few spicy little new additions in this deck, so we'll start it off here. 1 Stroke, again, I think just having 1 Stroke in most of these control decks is probably fine. Still playing 2 Flunk. Flunk's a card and removal spell that I hate. But if you're going Dimir, I think you kind of have to go this route. I know we got the new card that can kill anything in Infernal Grasp. But I don't want to be losing too much life in here, so I think we still just play Flunk for now. But I can see it being Infernal Grasp, so we do have some life gain things in here. 2 Jwari Disruption, 2 Negate, pretty standard. Playing the 3 of Meat Hook Massacre. If you couldn't tell from my 10 decks of Midnight Hunt Standard, I love this card. Think it's really, really nice. Having a way to just gain a little bit of life, drain the opponent just a little bit if you need to, is really, really good here. Meat Hook Massacre is super solid and just a very, very nice addition. Even having a way to, just you have a lot of X1s on the battlefield, just a 3 mana board wipe is super, super nice. I'm playing 2 Bloodline Calling here, which I know may seem like a weird one. This is a 3-mana instant. Choose one where target creature gets -5/-5 in the end of turn, or creature tokens get -2/-2 in the end of turn. I'm not sure how good the token part of that could be, but there are quite a few tokens in the set that look like they're going to be relevant. There's still Scoot Swarm, there's still Seeker's Chariot, there's still all these kind of tokens out there that can be good. So having a way to get rid of all those, and if you need to, just having -5/-5, it's going to kill most things in standard. So Bloodline Colon getting into plays here as a 2 of. Still playing 2 Poison the Cup here, being able to scribe when you kill something that's nice if it's foretold. Whole playset is saw it coming, still the best counter spell, not much to really argue there. Playing 2 of the Celestus, and this is one that I don't really love, but I think it's worth trying out here. Ramping up that 5-mana slot can be pretty beneficial for you, even though we don't play any 5-drops. But I still think the Celeste is just a little legendary artifact here. Possible a way to draw cards late in the game when people are doing some day and night shenanigans on the other side of the battlefield. So I will be trying out 2 of the Celestas. This is probably my first cut in this deck if I was to change it up, but for now it's worth trying out. Playing 3 Belful Mastery, clean, good exile removal for most anything. Playing a whole playset of Memory Deluge here. This deck used to play the Snow Package and Graven Lore. Memory Deluge to me is just by far and away better, so I play Memory Deluge here. So I just realized that I forgot to update all of this, but these Blood in the Snows are supposed to be Shadow's Verdict. So replace these 2 Blood in the Snows with a Shadow's Verdict. That's the 5-drop I was thinking of about Celeste. I was kind of like thinking of it when I was like, I know I have 5-drops in here. But Blood in the Slow, again, we're not doing the Snow Package anymore. Change this to Shadow's Verdict. It's gone. Planeswalker-wise and finisher-wise, we have 2 Mordenkainen, 2 Professor Onyx, and 2 Orange Epiphany. Didn't really get any big finishers for the deck in this set, but I think that's okay. The finisher, when you play Control, is making your opponent hate themselves. So I think with all the removal we have here and some good draw spells, we have plenty of ways to make your opponent just absolutely hate the game of Magic. And it's a control mage. That's your win condition. That's what you want to do. So I think that package is enough to close the game out there and get it done. That's 3 decks here. Let's take a look at some more aggro now, baby. It's some mono white aggro. Let's go. All right, I don't think this one will take long because they didn't get too many things, but we have some mono white aggro here. Let's go ahead and just start it off. 1-drop slot here. Not a lot of changes. Whole playset of Coastspell Cleric. Whole playset of Monk of the Open Hand. Whole playset of Paladin class. 2 Portable Hole. And a whole playset of Usher the Fallen. 1-drop city for days here. You won't be able to play your Usher the Fallen, and then the next spell, play your Monk of the Open Hand and Coastspell Cleric. That's like your ultimate premier start in this deck. Paladin class taxing on their turn, and then later on buffing your creatures is really, really nice. So still have that very lean, mean, and aggressive deck shell there. At the 2-drop slot, we can play 2 Fateful Absence. I know you don't want to play too many removal spells in here because you want to just kind of beat down. But mono white, just getting a destroy target creature or planeswalker spell with a little bitty downside, this is super good. So Fateful Absence is a 2F here, but definitely has a 4 of in your sideboard for sure. I'm playing 2 Intemperate Adversary in the main deck here. I wanted to go higher on this one, and I think it does scale really well with how many 1-drops we have in this deck. But there's still other cards we're going to play as well. So I'm playing 2 of here for now. Could totally see this being a 4 of, though. We are playing 4 Luminarch Aspirant. Still one of the best cards in Standard. You want to be playing 4 of these for sure. So I wanted to try out 2 Adeline Splendid Cathar. This is the one that's power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control. Well, its power is. Its toughness is just 4. You go really wide in this deck. You make a lot of creatures. We can buff them up later. Pretty self-explanatory. Played as a 2 of here to try out. As far as my removal package and the creatures go, again, I'm trying a 2-2 split here, a Brutal Cathar and Skyclave Apparition. I'm not sure which one's better. I could see one being better than the other, but for now, I'm just trying a 2-2 split. Whole playset of Elite Spellbinder. Spellbinder is still fantastic. We're playing 2 Redain, God of the Worthy. And finally, a spicy little 1 of Guardian Savior. When you cast this, you can return 2 different creature cards of mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. We play plenty of those. There's going to be a lot of times where we should have that in the graveyard ready to come back on the battlefield. So Guardian Savior coming in here is just a spicy little 1 of. Again, we don't want to go too high up on the converted mana cost here because we are just a cheap, aggressive deck. Otherwise, nothing's changed on the land counts here. You play your Cave of the Frost Dragons, you play your Faceless Havens, and you play a bunch of snow-covered plains. Easy peasy. One more deck to talk about. Let's look at some Orzhov Angels, baby. Last but not least, well, maybe least in the amount of new cards it got, but Orzhov Angels, one of the better decks, and I've always loved playing this in Standard 2022. But we're in Innistrad now, so not a lot of Angels. And some of the Angels that I could have put in here just don't fit with it. But let's talk about the 2 new cards this deck does get. Again, Fateful Absence, great card, good removal spell. Even though we have access to all this black removal, I think you want to play a 2 of Fateful Absence here. So removal-wise, we're playing 2 Bloodchief's Thirst, 2 Fateful Absence, and a whole playset of Vanishing Burst. Otherwise, we kind of go up the curve like you'd expect until you get to the 5-drop slot. And we're playing a whole playset. That's right. A whole playset of Lisa, Forgotten Archangel. This is a 5-mana 4/5 flying lifelink, already fine stats on its own. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. And if a creature your opponent controls would die, exile it instead. Lisa's fantastic. This is a card that we absolutely want to slam down on turn 5 if we can. And because of that, even though it's legendary, we're playing this as a 4 of. That's what we got here. Orzhov Angels. Let's go. Alright, friends, that's what we got here. Upgrading 5 of the top decks of standard 2022Q. Coming soon to regular standard near you, baby. We got a few days left. It's almost time. I think Thursday is when this goes live, so my next video will be gameplay from standard 2022. Can't get any of that early to you this time, unfortunately, unless something comes up last minute that I didn't know of. But we'll still play these cards as soon as we can and have some fun with it. Thank y'all for the support as always. I appreciate it. Let me know what kind of decks you're looking forward to and what kind of decks you're building. Appreciate it, y'all. Love y'all. Let's go.